department. And we're very glad, myself and my colleagues, are very glad that you could join us in recognizing our graduates this year. It is my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker and MCDB alumnus, Dr. Steve Zwerdlinger, who graduated with a bachelor degree from MCDB in 1982. Steve went on to earn his medical degree from CU Denver in 1986, followed by a residency and a fellowship in radiology, also at CU Denver. So altogether, he spent 14 years at CU, and then he practiced radiology in Las Vegas for 25 years, all the while remaining an avid Buff fan and a strong supporter and benefactor of MCDB, CU Medical School, and CU Athletics. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Zwerdlinger.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Like, one of the great ironies in life, the whole time you're in college, you're studying, getting ready for your tests and finals, you wish you were out of college. Then as soon as you're out of college, you wish you were back in. So that happened to me, and it's always great to come back. Even though I'm an invited speaker, I have to let you know I'm one of you. I went to Gateway High School in Aurora. I moved out of my parents' house in August of 1978. Neither one of my parents graduated from high school. I moved into 303 Andrews, and my life hasn't been the same since. And it's just been a great experience, and I just feel honored and privileged to have benefited from this department. So today you've heard just how bright all the graduates get to hear how bright their future is, how hard they worked, and how their accomplishments kind of paid off. For some of the graduates, that's not true, but for all of you, it's very true. You're going to have very bright futures. You're going to have great lives. You're going to have a lot of opportunity, just unparalleled opportunity that just, unless you're a real scientist, you just don't have that opportunity. So give yourselves a hand. For all the real scientists, let me just add, you have a lot of memories of graduation, but it's not the speeches that you remember. The only thing that I remember from my graduation is I think the president got up, and at the graduation he said, "Fire when ready." And then the whole champagne corks went off. So if anyone has a bottle of champagne they want to open, now is the appropriate time to start drinking this champagne. So I look at you as what I call the luckiest generation. Like, my father was part of the greatest generation. Had to go through sacrifice, and fight wars, and kind of deal with difficult economic times. And now all of you get the benefit, from the sacrifices of other people. And particularly as a molecular biologist, there's been kind of a convergence over the years. When I started molecular biology here, this was a top 5 molecular biology department, because there were only 5 molecular biology departments in the whole country. Now there's a convergence where everything is molecular biology. Like, you watch TV and people want to sequence your DNA for $100. Back in the day, no one the Human Genome Project was just getting started when I was in college. So the whole human genome wasn't known, and now that's one of the greatest scientific achievements of mankind. And you're right there. So all of you who are in the field of science you're in, there's been no better time to be you right now. So I'm very jealous. I wish I could be with you. So now you're also going to have careers that are very rewarding personally. You'll feel a lot of fulfillment. You're going to help people, and progress of humankind is kind of dependent on your work. But your work is so important, they actually give out Nobel Prizes for the work that you're going to do. So I have some personal advice for all of you. We live in a time where there's a lot of conflict, I guess, between people. And there's a lot of some of the social scientists, who once they're in a position where people conflict with their ideas, they need a timeout, they need to go to the silo, they need to work on their self-esteem, they need to build their sense of empowerment back. And they got to, recuse themselves for a while. But that's not you. You are going to be critically evaluated for everything you do every day. And I would say engage that, because when you seek out the people who are your critics, you can actually gain a lot from it. In fact, my own personal experience is, you can really learn a lot from people who think you're an idiot. So I think it's just be engaged. One of the benefits of being retired is you have a lot of time on your hands. So I was watching SportsCenter while working out in my house. And David Ortiz, Boston Red Sox hitter, he was retiring from baseball. And he was taking a walk around Fenway Park, and the sportscaster said, "Why were you so successful?" And the Big Papi said, "Because I was not afraid to fail." And that should be you. You should not be afraid to fail. At this point in your life, your downside to failure is exactly 0. So try to do things that you really think are important, that you have a passion for, and don't prevent yourself from doing anything just because you think you might fail, because you could succeed. Something else that you should be aware of throughout your life is something called a cognitive bias. So those are like defects in your cognition that make you make bad mistakes. So always be aware. Even though there's something called a self-assessment delusional bias, an overconfidence bias where we all think we're great. Well, what you are, but just entertain the fact that you could be wrong. Which leads into something called cognitive dissonance, which is where you can't hold 2 disparate opinions at the same time. Because the more successful you are at something, and the more you think you're right about something, the less likely you are to think that you could be wrong. So sometimes that's good. Look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was very successful. He thought outside the box, he was creative and innovative, until one day when he had a little pain, and he had pancreatic cancer, and he said, my spiritualist and I will do some herbal medicine, we'll do some meditation, because all this stuff has worked so well before. But for him, that was a fatal mistake, because he didn't think that what he had done before could fail in the future, which it did for him. Just be aware of that. Something else I would say in life is I realized a long time ago I wasn't going to save the world, but you can make a little difference in something. So pick one charity or one organization in your life and be involved in it, either with your time or your money. And what I recommend that charity be the University of Colorado. So that way this opportunity will live on in perpetuity. Something else I would say, don't waste your time. Because right now, you are entering a world it's a meritocracy-based world. So if you're on your cell phone, like this guy over here, putting a cat's face on your friend's picture, your competition isn't doing that. Because right now, all the little fish, all the medium fish are gone. All that's left now are the apex predators. And you're going to compete with those other apex predators. So if you want to get a grant, if you want to get a residency, if you want to get a full professorship, you can't waste your time because your competition is not wasting their time. So stay focused. You're going to do something meaningful and purposeful every day. Another thing I would say is always be optimistic, because pessimists never really accomplish much. But if you're optimistic and you can believe you can do something, chances are you can. Now, and in closing, I'd like to quote 2 people. First, Frank Sinatra. I live in Las Vegas, so he's a Vegas icon. And Frank said, "You only live once, but if you live right, once is enough." That's true. Then I would like to quote a great humanist, a great progressive intellectual, poet, philosopher, Marshall Mathers. And I quote, "His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. You better lose yourself in the moment. You own it. You better never let it go. You only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime." And you know the rest.
Okay, that was awesome. I think everything that Steve said applies to the faculty too, so that's great.